Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the new weekly Subspace apps synchronization call. So this is part of our new meeting flow, and in this every 2 weeks we're going to have this call. In this call, we're going to be talking about the user-facing applications, like the desktop farmer, and integrations with NFTs and storage and things like that. And so today we're going to be talking about NFTs in the Dotsama ecosystem, and updates and progress we've been making on the desktop farmer. So Serge, if you'd like to start off.
Sure. So yeah, I've been doing some research on the NFT in the Kusama Polkadot ecosystem recently, and I was covering state mine, state mint, and I will show you the prototype application to interact with those chains. I also covered, but haven't implemented any apps for Ink smart contracts and OpenBrush library, unique parachain, remark, and I was trying to cover Affinity, but yeah, they don't have anything public at the moment. So, and I also have BitCountry on my list. It's like a metaverse, but still related to NFTs. And let me share my screen so I can show you the application. Okay. So initially I was trying to use Westmint, which is like a state mine, state mint, similar chain, NFT common good parachain on the West End testnet, but the faucet on West End is pretty cheap. It only gives you like 0.5 tokens per day, and it's not enough to do anything on Westmint. You cannot create a class, you cannot mint an asset. So, and because Westmint, State Mine, and State Mint, they all obviously substrate chains, and they use palette called Unix. So I just started local substrate node. I used node template and added that palette Unix because the API is basically same for all the chains. And here we have some block production. I have some accounts in my extension. And here is my application. Let me just start it. Okay, seems to work. So yeah, we have integration with Polkadot.js. So we have accounts. Some of the accounts I expose from my extension. In this case, because we are on the local chain, as you can see, I can use Alice because Alice has some fonts by default. And yeah, apologies for the ugly UI, but it's just a proof of concept. I will explain stuff here. So every unique palette has same as in other like NFT platforms. First, you need to create like a collection. In Palette Unix, those collections are called classes. So in order to mint an individual asset, first someone needs to create a class, and class has an owner. So in this case, we can see this is Alice. Yeah, this is Alice Wallet. She's an owner of two classes. One class has an asset. Classes have IDs, assets have IDs, and IDs have, or assets have metadata associated uh, with an asset, and also you can create metadata for the class. And yeah, by default, you only have the data property, and you can put anything here, like a string. It can be like a IPFS link or subspace object ID. And another property, which is interesting, it's I haven't seen it in like Ethereum smart contracts. Uh, by default, when you mint an asset on Pilot Unix, it's moldable. You can update it, and you can change metadata until you freeze an asset. And I will show you how to do that. So after it's frozen, it's well, it's an NFT as we know it. It's like immutable. So yeah, let me just give you a quick example. First, we need to create a class, and we put some ID number, and we need to submit extrinsic. It's Alice account, okay. So here you can see in a second, yeah, we have submitted transaction, extrinsic, it's successful, and we are waiting for the status to update for block to be finalized, and we can see that yeah, we have our extrinsic included in this block, and if we refresh, we see our class with ID 45. And currently this class doesn't have any assets, obviously. So let's mint an asset. It's ID 45. We specify the class ID, and we put some random number for asset ID. Yeah, but it's wrong account. Okay. Let's wait for transaction to be finalized. Okay. And we can see there is an asset, but by default, it doesn't have any metadata. It only has like owner and ID. So next step will be add metadata. So it's class 45, asset ID 78, and we can freeze, or we can not freeze for now. Let's just keep it like this. And again, we have to wait for the transaction to be included. Okay. So we have our asset and we have our metadata. I couldn't really figure out what is deposit, but it changes over time. Yeah, if maybe later I will dig into that, but yeah, we can see that we have our metadata included, and yeah, if we want, we can freeze it. So currently it's not frozen. Is frozen is false. We can submit something, another object ID, for example, but with frozen property. And okay, yeah, so now it's frozen, and if we try to change something for the like unfreeze or put some random metadata, and we try to submit transaction, it should fail. Yeah, success false. So there is nothing you can do after you freeze. And of course, you can transfer asset. Currently, we can see that the owner of this asset is Alice, and we can transfer it to this another account. Let's copy address. It's 45, 78. Okay, we submit. Okay, and now it's another address, as you can see. Okay, and finally, yeah, we can burn asset. Let's see what we can burn here. Let's say this one, 2 and 1. Hmm. White fails. Maybe we cannot burn because it's frozen.
Is burning just sending to a null address, or is it actually a command called burn?
It's a call.
Okay.
Let's try
Okay.
this one.
Yeah. So you could, I mean, you could always just send it to an address that doesn't exist, and that would burn it too, right?
Yeah. Oh, maybe I was sending from another account. Yeah, this one is successful. So we were burning 012. Let's check. Yeah, so this class doesn't have any assets now. Yeah, that's basically it. Apart from these standard things, which I have like implemented simple UI, there are some other extrinsic calls. So let me check what can be mentioned. So yeah, you can delegate transferring, so that some other account can transfer your assets. You can set metadata, which I showed you, but you can also set some attributes. I couldn't really understand what is the different, but yeah, this is something I will check next. Yeah, you can destroy the whole class, the whole collection, and you can specify different roles for like collection owner, collection freezer, and there was some other role. Yeah, issuer, admin, and freezer. Yeah, I think that's it. Any questions?
The attributes, I'm pretty sure, are just additional points you can add on to the NFTs. I think that's how like the Ethereum NFTs have like breedable that you can combine and do everything like that. I'm pretty sure that's all done to the attributes.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I've got several questions. This is great work, by the way, Serge. Thanks for putting this together. This is a really good overview. I was this helpful for you to kind of understand how this actually works? Do you feel like you've got a good mental model and mastery of kind of the palette now?
Yeah, for sure.
Great. Okay. So the first thing about the testnet tokens on West End, is there no other way to get the tokens aside from the faucet? Like, is there some way to like buy tokens? I mean, I just find it hard to believe that, you can't use the test net because you can't get the tokens. Like, there's got to be some workaround for that.
No, they just give you 0.5 per day, and you have to send a message in metrics. This is how it works. You just specify the account, and they send you 0.5 per day. It's enough to make a transaction, but yeah, it's not enough to do something like minting and creating assets.
Okay. Are you subscribed right now to get a daily drop of that 0.5?
Like I was trying a few days. Yeah, I collected like 1.5, and it was just enough to create an asset, but one class. But yeah, I felt like it will be just easier to set up my local node, because I will need to do it more than once, right? And I will need to create a class, and I will need to create also an asset. So
Sure.
just minting, asking for like 0.5 daily, it's not sustainable.
Okay. Well, we are going to have to figure out how to get this deployed on West End and how to have like an actual, user experience that works that way. Otherwise, we're just going to have to like buy Kusama and put it directly on the Kusama chain, which we probably don't want to do to start. So I'll need you to figure out some way to get those tokens. Like if we have to pay for them, that's fine. Like if we pay $50 to get like, I don't know, 10 million testnet tokens, just so we've got an account that we can play with. But, building something locally and testing it in
Okay.
like an actual production network, or even, I mean, not a production, but like a live network, like the user experience is very different. There's like a lot of workarounds you can do when you're testing it locally. Okay.
Okay, I will check if there is another way.
Yeah, and maybe just ask on like on the chat. Just I mean, I'm sure you're not the first developer who's encountered this problem, right? There's got to be some workarounds of how to get these tokens so that you can do some meaningful activity on this testnet. Just ask on like Substrate Builders chat or in the Element chat for Substrate. Okay, cool. So I noticed that there was never a login to like a Substrate extension or Polkadot.js wallet. How is that happening in this workflow that you showed us? How's authentication happening for the user?
It's injected from the extension to the app. There is a package. It's called Polkadot extension, Polkadot apps extension. And it works similar as MetaMask. So in MetaMask, you have like a Web3 provider, and it
Right. No,
injects your account.
I understand how that works. So basically, you already did it before the demo. So there was like a login step that we're already signed in before you showed us how it worked.
To the extension?
Yeah.
No, I have my wallet in the extension by default.
Okay. If I was to run the demo, like, I guess, were you giving us a canned demo, or like, I was curious, like if somebody was doing this, like if I wanted to download your code and run it, would I have to log in through my Substrate extension or my Polkadot.js extension first? Or is it just like, is there some trusted account behind the scenes that it's using?
I'm using Alice. This is default account on like in dev environment.
Okay.
And it has funds. So that's why I'm using it. And I had to manually add Alice seed to my extension.
Go ahead, Jesse.
I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure with the Polkadot, if you don't have the wallet address hidden, it can automatically load into web pages without having to like click connect and everything like that. That's kind of what you're asking, right? It's like how to add the wallet to the web page.
Yeah, I mean, like with any, if I use any app on Ethereum, I have to connect my wallet as like the first step, right? And that's like the way that it was for the demo for MetaVault. So I was just like, that was missing for me. So I was wondering, is it, you don't have to do that because it's a test account and it just does it under the hood, or had you just already logged in before, the demo, like you weren't starting the demo from zero because you've already like done it yourself a couple times. So you've already authenticated yourself. It sounds like the answer is the latter. You are authenticating, but you just did it before you showed us how it worked.
Yeah, there is like a prompt message, like, do you want to use Polkadot extension on this web application? And I did it.
Got it. Okay. That's just an important part of the user experience. I'm just trying to make sure I understand the workflow here. Okay, I want to make sure I've got the right mental model for how collections and classes work. So are classes and collections equivalent in Uniques?
No, like asset is a part of collection. So
What's the
you cannot mean,
relationship between a collection and a class? Or is asset is a class?
no. Group of assets is a class.
Right?
So collection of assets. So in order to create an asset, you need a class first.
Right. So a collection and a class are the same thing.
No, like a class is a father and asset is a child.
I'm not talking about assets. So assets are individual things, right? Like an individual
Yes.
CryptoKitty is an
Yes.
asset. And the notion of a CryptoKitty is a collection. There's a collection of CryptoKitties, right?
Yes. Right.
Okay, so that's a class.
Yeah, class is a collection.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Okay, just making sure I understood that correctly. Okay. Can you freeze a collection?
Can I freeze a collection? Let me see.
Because normally when you create collections
Yes.
are like limited, right? So you would say, oh, there's only 1,000 assets in this collection. You can't add any more. You can't mint any new assets.
You can freeze a collection.
Okay, cool. Does StateMine use the same interface, like they're just directly, or do they have their own wrapper or some additional API on top of Uniques?
No, they use Palette, like same as any other substrate chain can use it.
Okay. So Uniques is the reference palette. StateMine is just the reference implementation of Uniques.
They have some other palettes as well, like palette assets, because on StateMine, StateMint, you can also mint like fungible tokens. For example, Remark, they had their tokens initially like minted on these chains. But for non-fungible, yeah, they use palette Uniques, and some other chains use it too. I was
Which other
checking on
chains?
GitHub. I don't remember. Unique chain, they have their own NFT palette, and maybe some like minor, lesser known chains. But I was checking just how people use the code of palette Uniques, to utilize it in my application. But I don't remember what exactly was the name of the chain.
Okay. Does palette Uniques conform to the ERC 721 standard for interfaces?
Form.
Does it meet the standard? Like, can I if I'm in an asset on Uniques, is it considered an ERC 721 asset, or is it some other type of standard for the NFT?
No, I don't think it's the same standard, because ERC 721 is like a smart contract standard, right? But Palette is not a smart contract.
Well, it's a standard interface definition for non-fungible tokens that just defines the
Palette Unix has similar methods. Like obviously you can create, mint, burn, transfer, but it has more. So I don't think you can say that it's ERC 721.
Okay. If you could specifically, like, I would really like if you could find a specific answer to that question. Like, it sounds like you're saying it's a superset of 721, like it has everything 721 has and more. But if you could confirm that, that would be really helpful. Like, what is the difference between uniques and 721? Maybe there's a blog post on this somewhere. I don't know. Seems like a common question, like from an interoperability point of view. And also 1155. Does it? It's probably not. I'm guessing it doesn't have the ability to do what 1155 can do, but maybe, or maybe there's some other palette or some pull request or issue on a roadmap to do that. But how does uniques compare to 721 and 1155?
Okay, I will check. For Inks contracts, I can say for sure that they have their specification is called PSP, and they have like analogs to like ERC 721 or ERC 1155. So, but Ink is a smart contract palette. You can like map methods one-to-one, right, to Solidity contracts. But with Palette, it's different to compare. But you can just compare interfaces, I guess.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just runtime APIs and calls, right? And state. So at the end of the day, it should all be interoperable, whether it's a runtime palette or a smart contract. They should be able to conform to the same interface.
Okay, so I will create like a comparison table for uniques ERC 721 and ERC 1155.
Awesome. Okay. Justin, you did this, or sorry, for those of y'all that aren't aware, and maybe it would be good to review this briefly. Justin did a state transition diagram, kind of a user workflow for MetaVault, the project that they worked on for the hackathon, which shows in quite like the sort of nth degree of detail exactly what's happening under the hood. Justin, maybe you could take just a minute to show us that. And then what I'd like to do is for you and Serge to link up after this, and for you to create like another tab, like in this app or this Lucid page that you built that does the same thing for StateMine, and then we'll eventually have these for all the different potential networks. Has anybody else seen this book yet?
Let me get the link for you guys. There we go. Oh, that actually might be the wrong one. And I did send it to Leo. I haven't heard back from him yet on if there's anything else that should be added to it. Give me just a moment here. Alrighty. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. Alrighty. So the way that this guy is broken down is as time is the y-axis. So as we go down is like time passing by. And then each column is a different, I guess, step, if you will, for the user. So first thing, they'll load the web page, and then they'll connect their MetaMask wallet. So it jumps over here into the MetaMask column, and they go back to the web page, and then they connect their Polkadot.js wallet, so it hops over to this column, etc. It really did a really good job in visualizing how complex of a workflow MetaVault in particular has. As you can see, there's a lot of jumping back and forth. Ideally, at least in my opinion, you'd probably want a web page that kind of sticks to majority of the user time is spent on the main web page. But overall, it's a pretty good visual breakdown, and I think it wouldn't be too hard to get something like that going for statements as well, like you mentioned, Jeremiah.
Thanks, Justin. Any questions? Cool. Yeah, so we're going to need to do this for StateMine. Eventually, we'll have like a MetaVault StateMine integration, so it should become a little bit more abstract with like, instead of Ethereum network, it would be like any network, although there's going to be some slight modifications depending on what type of interface there is that network, but we should eventually get it to where it's just an abstract interface, so that we can plug and play with Ethereum or StateMine or Solana or whatever. But it would also be good to have the specific workflows for, ERC20, ERC721, state mine, or uniques, and all the, and we'll be adding as we go across and look at like different blockchains, different standards for doing this.
Definitely.
Okay, so Justin, Serge, I'd like you guys to link up offline after this and get something put together for what you've done for your Serge. And then as we add, we'll just keep this updated.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Serge, what are the next steps that you have in mind after this?
Next step would be to play with Ink and OpenBrush with smart contracts.
Okay. And what is OpenBrush again?
OpenBrush is like Open Zeppelin. What Open Zeppelin for like Solidity Ethereum smart contracts. So they created a similar project on for Ink smart contracts. So it's like a library for smart contracts. So instead of implementing everything like from scratch, you just reuse particular like traits, modules.
Okay, makes sense. Great. Okay. And this code that you showed us, is that on GitHub?
Yeah, I moved it to Subspace organization earlier.
Okay. What is the name of the repo?
React palette uniques.
Okay. So what I think we need to do is create like a NFT examples repo, and then just have a bunch of folders, like, or React NFT examples, something like that, and then have like a folder for state mine, a folder for Ink, folder for OpenBrush, and just as we add stuff to it, it'll have more. So we just got one place to collect all these, so that when somebody wants to build an NFT, we can just show them this examples repo, that they can go and look at code samples.
Yeah, that was the plan. I will just keep adding new examples to this folder.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, and after Ink, I was planning to play with unique parachain, which is on Kusama, and hopefully Affinity will go public and yeah, open their repository so I can check what do they have, or just
currently,
I don't know, use. Sorry?
Is that currently closed source?
Yeah, I reached out to them on Discord because I couldn't find anything on GitHub, and they said like it's not public at the moment.
So much for transparency in blockchain. Okay. Okay, cool. Skylar, do you have anything you want to add about what you've been learning, how that interfaces with this?
No, I'm actually spending most of my time today working on the Remark and other NFT research in Polkadot. I just thought it was really interesting, the flexibility that these NFTs have. Also, Serge sent me this link for a diagram that Remark has, and I think it's kind of applicable to what we're talking about. It shows how they use the different palettes for each chain in Polkadot. No other comments though.
Oh, this is great. Yeah. Yeah, this is like a slide that we need to put in the presentation, and like maybe you need to put this into the repo as well, Serge. I think we need to record this. This is a really good overview. Like put it in the README or something.
Well, Remark is on my list too. I just forgot to mention, but it's kind of special because they're multi-chain and they don't have like their own parachain or smart contracts. They use it's like basically specification, and initially they were using like a native substrate module called system, and you just graffiti the chain this is why they are called remark, because this is like one of the calls of this system module. It's called remark. You can just put some data on the chain, and so they have particular like specification, the format of these messages, and yeah, you don't need a palette, you don't need like a smart contract for those NFTs. There are some like weak sides of this, but they acknowledge that, and yeah, but now they're trying to partner with other chains that like they have palette uniques, for example. I don't know how exactly they work, but yeah, this is something so far it looks interesting, but I need more time to do research.
Okay, makes sense. And Skylar, you're going to have that presentation ready beginning of next week, right?
Yep, on Monday I'll have that video ready.
Great. Okay. Okay, anything else on this topic? Awesome. All right, thanks for going through all that, Serge. That was really helpful, very informative. Okay. All right, let's shift gears and talk about the desktop farmer. Dan, if you can try to summarize in about 15 or 20 minutes kind of what's been going on with that. I don't want to get too deep into it because we don't have Oskin here right now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, let me share my screen. So last week I had 5 interviews and have 5 more on the way. Also, last week I just fixed some problems with the screens. So yeah, prototype looks like this, and this is the link for interview process. Yeah. Okay. So the interview process is very simple. I send a link to the prototype, ask people to share the screen, and pretend I'm not here. Just let people interact freely with the prototype and comment each screen afterwards. So yeah, I would say we don't have enough data yet. I need to do more interviews, and it looks like feedback is really depends on user experience. For example, Emil had a really great feedback about this dashboard screen and pledge space screen because he has experience with Chia. And Evan here is also, give me a lot of feedback about those 2 screens because he has experience with Helium. But yeah, I definitely see some patterns here. Most people actually didn't see a button with options. For example, here, it's not clear for many people, so I should fix that maybe before even other interviews. Yeah, and on dashboard screen, there is not clear for many people that farming process is actually going on here. And yeah, with collect wallet, everyone looks pretty agreed with safe account option. So you don't need to connect your wallet every time. Just have saved option with your public key. Yeah, and some people actually was confused with the workflow, with the user flow. I would say it's more Emil and Evan. So they just didn't understand the idea of starting farming without the account set up first, and that was really strange for them. But Emil eventually figured out that it's not really important, and he liked idea. But Evan said that it's really not in the crypto way to like give your email on the farmer app and not create a wallet for farming. So he was really confused with that. But other people like Mike, Kingsley, and Sally was really happy with the app. Like it was really clear and easy to use, and they didn't see any problems with not setting up the wallet before farming. So yeah, so far so good. Maybe I need to do something with my framework here, but it's works okay with that amount of interviews right now. Yeah, any questions, any comments on that?
I had a feeling that was going to happen, that half of the users would like the layout and the other more crypto native users would think it was a little funky.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can't make everyone happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we should decide which audience we're targeting, actually.
Yeah, this is great. I'm glad you're getting this out in front of people and getting people's feedback on this. So a couple comments. So definitely, yeah, agree that you need to have a lot, like 10, 15, sometimes different users that you talk to before you really start to see the patterns emerge, like as you've said. The other thing here is that you have to consider not only the audience, but like sort of the sophistication and sort of the power dynamics of the relationship of who you're talking to. So, these are all ambassadors and you're sort of like the ambassador manager. So there's going to be like, take with a grain of salt any feedback you get. So versus somebody who like you've never met, or you don't have any pre-existing relationship with. So I think it would be good to like grab random emails from random people from our email subscriber list and say, hey, would you like to participate in a customer interview with us? People that you've never spoken to before. I think you'll get vastly different feedback from them than you're getting from these people.
Yeah.
So we want to be careful about like not optimizing for the power user, I guess is what I'm saying, or people that are already very familiar with Subspace. It's not necessarily a representative sample of the people that will be actually using the application. The other comment is about what you said about like some people really liked this, Web 2 flow. Some people really hated it. I think we will have some personas which will emerge here. And part of this feedback process is it's not like there will be one like lowest common denominator that we will achieve of like what is the user persona. Instead, there will be these like divergent user personas. There could be 3, 4, 5 of them. Like it sounds like there's at least 2 right now. And so part of this process of the user interview is like figuring out what are these personas, what are the value props for these users, what is the experience they hope to see, what are the like deal breakers for them, like for the crypto native persona, it's like, well, if I don't set up my wallet from the get-go, then I don't trust this scammy project. I don't want to give my Web 2 for the email, for them to collect info on me. And then somebody else is like, oh, cool, it's easy to use, great, and I get to earn crypto. Like I don't care. So part of this user interview process is like, what are these personas? And there's like a lot of techniques for how to kind of flesh out these personas through this user interview process. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of what the goal is here. It's not like it's normal. It's expected that we're going to get this conflicting information, but there are patterns that we can draw out from this at the same time.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah, I almost run out of ambassadors, so I'm thinking to pick some people from Discord group. But yeah, maybe it's better to just choose some random emails and get in touch with people who are not in our community, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you want to think about like there's lots of valid ways to do it. Like getting people from a Discord is good. You might want to think about like different acquisition channels for different audiences that we might go after. So there's like the Subspace, like diehards that love us so much they wanted to be ambassadors, and there's maybe the people that are just like Subspace casual that are in a Discord. Then there's people that have like shown some moderate degree of interest by like adding us to our email list. And then maybe there's just like general, like somehow, you know, there's ways that, you know, like applications and services that allow you just to collect users to like get feedback, you know, random people.
Okay.
And you could do like, you know, like totally never used crypto before, but like showing interest in crypto, people that are like outside of the Subspace ecosystem, but are familiar with crypto. So there's like a lot of different of these demographics that we can go after. And we might find that the personas map to the demographics, or we might not. You know, that's a hypothesis.
Okay, got it. I just have a question. Should I fix something on the app based on feedback right here? Or should I wait for 10, 15 interviews and fix only after that?
Yeah, I would. I mean, you can fix, but if you version it so that you have like a fixed version, but you're not showing the fixed version to users, you're showing the original version so that you get consistent feedback. Because it's hard to do an experiment when you change the when you change the environment for the experiment, right? If you want to get like a lot of data, you need to use the same environment over and over again. And then you could go back and say like, okay, well, I've done 15 interviews on V1 while working on V2 in the background. Although you might want to wait until you collect all the feedback before you can start working on V2. And then you can go back out and test V2, you know, on new users and on like show it back to the existing users and get their feedback. So, but I would say generally you want to wait a little bit longer and not only to get more feedback, but also to like digest it too. And it can also be a very, it can be a painful process when you spend all this time building this thing and you show it to people and they're just like, you know, they don't want to tell you like, oh, this is terrible, this is garbage, I don't understand it. Sometimes some people will, but a lot of people will like be nice to you, and it can be like hard pill to swallow sometimes. So it takes some time to sort of digest this and kind of separate yourself from the thing that you've created. And sometimes it's even better to have somebody who didn't create the thing, who doesn't know why it worked or why this was designed in this way, to do these user interviews as well.
Yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense. Got it. Yeah, there is some just obvious mistakes, I think, some obvious features that we can add or fix. So I think I'll start working on the version 2 and still interview people with previous version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments or feedback from the group? Awesome. Okay, great work, Diana. Keep up the interview process. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. Next week, we'll be doing our integrations discussion at this time.
Cool. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow.